Chapter 578 Second Fight, Feng Ling. Feng Ling was completely decked in armor. Although Huo Yuao didn't know how old she was, he was still in awe. Great figure. Huo Yuao had gained the upper hand in their first clash. The strength of his dark gold and terraclaw suppressed Feng Ling's phoenix claws. Both of them seemed to have great chemistry with each other. They leapt into the sky at almost the same time and transformed into two different projections. Instantly, they shot more than 1,000 meters into the sky. The sky was a battlefield for truly strong individuals. Otherwise, everything on the ground would be torn apart from the shockwaves generated during an intense clash between powerful individuals. They were 100 meters away from each other. They continued to rise into the sky. No emotional undulations appeared in Feng Ling's eyes. She only glared at Huo Yuao. Just as she was rising, her own stature was also growing rapidly. Huo Yuao wasn't any inferior. Dark blue projections flashed around his body. The higher it was, the colder the air temperature. The number of ice elements also increased. With the help of the icy war god's armor, these ice elements were quickly absorbed into his body before they were turned into a part of his strength. Terrifying soul power undulations rippled through the air. The fight between them immediately reached a peak. A sharp phoenix cry sounded. In midair, Feng Ling opened her wings once again. Behind her, the sky instantly turned purplish black. At the same time, a giant dark phoenix surfaced amidst the purplish black. Its appearance was very subtle. Yan Xiaoxi's phoenix was agile, elegant and holy. Feng Ling's phoenix was sinister and evil. It seemed like it wanted to crush the sky. Bang! A strange pop could be heard from around Feng Ling's body. Her first soul ring also popped. The evil energy around her, which was already very strong, started to grow many times stronger. Her soul skill is different from before. Yan Xiaoxi muttered to himself. He had once had a relationship with Feng Ling. Back then, Feng Ling already had 6 rings, even though she wasn't as strong as she was right now. The soul skills that she demonstrated then were quite different from her soul skills right now. Elder Sun said, it must be a mutation after her evil phoenix awakened. As her martial soul mutated, her soul skills also mutated. This was something that had happened to Shu Sanqi and Bei Bei. Generally speaking, a mutation of a martial soul would lead to mutations in soul skills. Yan Xiaoxi said, I'm afraid Yuao has underestimated his opponent this time. Feng Ling is already so strong. Douluo must be even stronger than her. A smile surfaced on Elder Sun's face. While Feng Ling is strong, Yuao is no longer the same as before either. Today, he'll prove to everyone that he's one of the strongest in the world now. Xiaoxi, he's already exceeded you in terms of cultivation and fighting strength. While Feng Ling is strong, she's still worse than you. Yan Xiaoxi was astonished. He hadn't expected Elder Sun to have such a high opinion of Huo Yuao. It was also at this moment that Huo Yuao experienced a transformation. With his body as the center, a ball of blurry blue light shone in the air. At the start, it was deep blue. However, as it spread, it turned dimmer and dimmer. When it had spread more than 100 meters, it had turned completely white. This light was in great contrast with the purplish black that Feng Ling had unleashed. The white started to scatter and turn into countless snowflakes that twisted and turned in the air. The snowflakes were pure white and carried a holy aura. When Feng Ling's evil energy spread towards Huo Yuao, the snowflakes were stirred, but they easily dispelled the evil energy. The evil energy couldn't get close to Huo Yuao at all. At the very start, it felt as if Feng Ling had gained the upper hand. Her evil energy engulfed most of the region, and even engulfed the position that Huo Yuao was standing in. However, this changed very soon. The snowflakes around Huo Yuao's body were continuously and steadily expanding. No matter how much Feng Ling tried to summon her evil energy, she couldn't reach the region covered by Huo Yuao's snowflakes. Her strength was suppressed and forced back by the falling snowflakes. Originally, she had wanted to use her evil energy to influence Huo Yuao. However, she was the one who was being influenced right now. Although she wasn't engulfed within his domain, the air temperature was still falling dramatically. Given her cultivation, she was still horrified when subjected to such a low temperature. The circulation of her soul power seemed to be affected too. Ultimate ice is actually so terrifying. Eternal domain of perpetual ice. Snowy dance of ultimate ice. Huo Yuao had shut his eyes. Every snowflake he felt was like a part of his feelings and emotions. They kept on extending. The evil energy that Feng Ling unleashed was very strong and pure. Normally, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage even when up against his ultimate ice. However, Huo Yuao's ultimate ice was no longer like it was before. After he completed the fusion of his second soul core, his ultimate ice reached an entirely new tier. The strongest point of the yin-yang complement was that yin was in yang and yang was in yin. The strength of the snowy dance of ultimate ice was many times greater than before after it combined Huo Yuao's ultimate Douluo spiritual power and the compressed, extremely low temperature of his ultimate ice. I can't allow this to continue. Feng Ling immediately judged. If Huo Yuao continued to suppress her using his domain, she would be in a far worse position as time passed. Since she was losing in the aspect of elements, she could only rely on pure fighting strength. Her pitch black seventh soul ring suddenly shone. Thick purplish black light instantly devoured her. After this, purplish black clouds separated in the sky, and a giant purplish black phoenix rushed out. It carried a dazzling purplish black tail flame and brought strange ripples as it charged towards Huo Yuao. As she was suppressed by the snowy dance of ultimate ice, Feng Ling finally resorted to using a martial soul true body. From afar, her phoenix seemed to be very elegant and dazzling. However, it had a pair of blood red eyes, which completely destroyed any elegance it might have possessed. Wherever this phoenix passed, the air would distort tremendously. There seemed to be countless pathetic screams echoing around the purplish glow that came from the phoenix, and fierce-looking faces could be subtly seen. What was the evil part of this evil phoenix? It was through devouring other soul masters. The evil phoenix devoured the martial souls of other soul masters to improve. Comparatively speaking, Feng Ling had killed very little compared to other evil soul masters. This was because she had to devour a martial soul that was similar to her own. Furthermore, it was only effective if the other party had a roughly similar cultivation. This was why she had wanted to devour Yan Xiaoxi's martial soul when she first experienced her awakening. When the aura of her martial soul was fully unleashed, she became even keener to devour martial souls. Even though Huo Yuao had an ultimate martial soul, he was still affected. A fear that originated from his martial soul caused him to waver a little. Huo Yuao drifted within his snowy dance of ultimate ice. Against Feng Ling's attack, he didn't immediately unleash his true body to resist it. Instead, he maintained his domain. Feng Ling was about to crash into his snowy dance of ultimate ice. A transcendent Douluo's true body was extremely terrifying, especially when she fully demonstrated her ability to devour. Feng Ling had absolute confidence that she could break Huo Yuao's domain. Huo Yuao's expression was very serious. Suddenly, he made a hugging motion. Immediately, the snowflakes in his snowy dance of ultimate ice gathered towards his body. They were moving directly towards his palms. Feng Ling's true body stopped in the air. He's given up on his domain? Don't tell me he's going to unleash his true body too. This was the first thought that arose in her mind. Following this, Feng Ling was in front of Huo Yuao. A strong force of evil swept towards him. The evil phoenix true body already had its mouth wide open and was about to devour Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao still didn't unleash his true body. He drifted in midair, as still as a statue. His icy war god's armor unleashed intense dark blue light. Huo Yuao gradually pushed his right hand out to resist Feng Ling's evil phoenix true body. It was a clash between large and small. Right now, the difference between Huo Yuao and Feng Ling appeared to be very great. What is he doing? He's actually not avoiding the true body of a transcendent Douluo or unleashing his own true body to resist. Is he really so confident? Just as everyone was puzzled, Feng Ling suddenly stopped in the air. Her gigantic true body stopped in the air just like that. Following this, it was clear that a trace of icy blue was spreading to the rest of the evil phoenix's body from its head. Douluo's pupils shrank. He's actually frozen Little Feng's true body. What strength is this? Even an ultimate Douluo couldn't possibly be so strong, right? Little Feng's evil phoenix is considered one of the strongest among evil soul masters. Yes, Huo Yuao had only used his snowless glacier. The strength of his snowy dance of ultimate ice was tapped by his soul core. He instantly compressed and gathered it before unleashing it using his snowless glacier. Feng Ling felt it the most. She felt that she wasn't just facing a palm, but a giant whirlpool of ice and snow. It was just that this whirlpool was formless. Her immense soul power was actually frozen by this formless ultimate ice. She was unable to move, and could only sense a terrifying chill engulfing her entire body. Could ice freeze soul power? Huo Yuao gave her a definite answer to this question. A sharp scream sounded. Bright light suddenly exploded from the evil phoenix true body. A purplish sun above its head tore the clouds apart before revealing itself. When this purplish sun appeared, the strength of the evil phoenix true body instantly surged. Cracks started to appear on the frozen parts of its body. A huge purplish beam of light that was more than 10 meters in diameter also shot out from the purplish sun. This beam shot straight towards Huo Yuao. Powerful. This was Huo Yuao's first feeling. However, he had no intention of stepping back. His eyes shone with golden light before his body turned ethereal. Following this, a huge vertical eye that was more than 10 meters tall also appeared in midair. It was his martial soul true body, Eye of the Asura. Yes, Huo Yuao had finally unleashed his true body. When his Eye of the Asura appeared, time seemed to slow down. Everything seemed to have been delayed. The purplish beam of light that was shooting straight towards him was no exception. Time has become slower. Is this a soul skill? Or, the Eye of the Asura was bright gold. Around the eye, there were dense yet dazzling rose gold sunray patterns. A strange glow was being exuded. This was Huo Yuao's first time unleashing his true body ever since he made his breakthrough. Bright gold light shot out in the next instant, aimed at that beam of purplish light. As gold and purple clashed in the air, unprecedentedly bright lights were produced. Countless streaks of light scattered everywhere. It was very clear that two rings of light were spreading in a balanced manner, within a region covering 50 square kilometers. This was completely clear and visible. Direct clash. This was a direct confrontation. Huo Yuao chose to resist Feng Ling's all-out attack the hard way. Just as the two different types of lights clashed, an ethereal projection surfaced behind Huo Yuao's Eye of the Asura. This projection was golden. It was huge, but ethereal. Destiny God Beast, Emperor Beast, the three-eyed golden lion. The three-eyed golden lion appeared out of thin air. A rose gold halo also rose from below the pupil of the Eye of the Asura. The color of the Eye of the Asura immediately changed. Two balls of light, black and white, intersected, fusing and turning into the core of the pupil of the Eye of the Asura. Following this, these two balls of light shot out. They were aimed at Feng Ling, who had just struggled her way out of Huo Yuao's ultimate ice. Although Feng Ling had struggled her way out of Huo Yuao's ultimate ice, the terrifying chill had still invaded her body and soul. Even her spiritual sea was affected by Huo Yuao's ultimate ice. Feng Ling was certain that her true body would really have been completely frozen if she were not a transcendent Douluo and if she didn't immediately invoke the strength of her soul core. It would be impossible for her to break free if she waited until then. His ultimate ice is frightening. It can freeze soul and spiritual power. Even so, Feng Ling's expression was still very fierce and serious. There was no look of fear in the blood-red eyes of her true body. There was only a look of arrogance. The black and white lights reached her almost instantly. Feng Ling's first reaction was to dodge. Her immense true body turned illusory, as if it had become transparent. However, something strange occurred. The black and white light spread when they landed on her, and added 2 layers of light to her body. They did not lose their effect just because her body had turned illusory. How was this possible? Feng Ling was in a daze. This ability of her true body was able to easily neutralize any soul power or material attack. But how did Huo Yuao manage this? Was it a spiritual attack? However, Feng Ling didn't sense any spiritual attack. What was going on? Feng Ling was completely unaware. At this moment, his Eye of the Asura shot out a beam of light once again. This time, a beam of bright gold light shot straight at Feng Ling. Feng Ling groaned. A hostile look flashed across her eyes. The purplish sun above her didn't instantly unleash an attack to resist Huo Yuao's spiritual shock. Rather, it shot out a beam of purple light towards the main body of the Eye of the Asura. She had the intention of perishing together with Huo Yuao. In fact, Feng Ling was carrying a class 9 spiritual defensive type soul tool. She was confident of resisting Huo Yuao's spiritual shock. The devouring light of the evil phoenix that she unleashed couldn't be dealt with so easily. No one knew the true terrifying part of an evil phoenix. In fact, her origin strength came from spiritual attacks. She also devoured the spiritual origins of martial souls to strengthen her own body. The evil and devouring characteristics ignited by spiritual power was what spawned the purplish sun. This purplish sun was also Feng Ling's ninth soul skill, son of the evil phoenix. When she first became a titled Douluo, she couldn't even use this 100,000-year soul skill. She could only use it after she became a transcendent Douluo. It was also precisely why she could become a transcendent Douluo in a few decades and become the vice leader of the Holy Ghost Church. The devouring light of the evil phoenix unleashed by the son of the evil phoenix had landed on the Eye of the Asura earlier. Suddenly, the Eye of the Asura was stained purple. The sunray patterns around the eye quickly retracted as a result, as if the eye had been greatly harmed. However, Feng Ling opened her eyes wide at the next instant. What she sensed was different from what others saw. She couldn't sense that Huo Yuao had been attacked. This also meant that everything that had happened was just an illusion. Just as this feeling developed, Huo Yuao's spiritual shock also hit her. At almost the next instant, Feng Ling's true body was destroyed by that immensely powerful beam of golden light. She reverted to her original form, and her entire body was also engulfed by the beam of golden light. A necklace released intense silver light to protect her. It demonstrated the strength of a class 9 spiritual defensive type soul tool. Feng Ling only felt that her heartbeat had quickened. When she faced Huo Yuao's spiritual shock, she finally understood why Wu Yan was defeated so quickly. He was simply too strong. His spiritual power was simply too immense. She felt as if she were facing the death god Douluo, Yi Shui. Fortunately, she had a class 9 defensive type soul tool. If it could block his attack, whatever was expended to create this soul tool would have been worth it. Feng Ling glared at Huo Yuao. Right now, the problem she was facing was that she had just been struck by his spiritual shock. She couldn't use her spiritual power to detect where he was. In this way, she couldn't tell what Huo Yuao was really up to. Ka. A slightly horrifying sound echoed. When Feng Ling lowered her head, she was astonished to find out that her necklace was already on the verge of failing. There were already cracks in it. It's a class 9 soul tool. It's actually beginning to fail because of that fellow's attack. An indescribable fear surged in her heart. In her mind, she couldn't help but think about the black and white lights that had appeared on her body earlier. At this moment, Huo Yuao's Eye of the Asura was destroyed by the devouring light of the evil phoenix. His spiritual shock also ended. Piang. Feng Ling's soul tool cracked, but still finally managed to resist Huo Yuao's spiritual shock. However, Feng Ling's fear didn't disappear. She only felt as if she was being watched by some kind of savage beast. It was a torturous feeling. Subconsciously, she unleashed her martial soul true body again. However, it was also at this moment that she heard an anxious exclamation. This was a very familiar voice. Didn't it come from Douluo? A huge vertical eye silently appeared behind Feng Ling. The Eye of the Asura seemed to have transcended space. It was dazzling gold, and 10 meters high. The sunray patterns were also still shining around it. Yes, the Eye of the Asura hadn't been destroyed. It was still there. Golden light shot out. Compared to before, it might be a little weaker. However, it engulfed Feng Ling's entire body. Feng Ling's body turned rigid. Her true body turned into countless streaks of purplish smoke that quickly dissipated. She was even more shocked to realize that there was no movement in her spiritual sea. Against such a spiritual attack, she was completely unable to resist. The terrifying spiritual power instantly struck her brain. Feng Ling groaned, and her body shook in the air. After that, she passed out. The golden light retracted, and a hand grabbed her neck. Huo Yuao also jolted himself out from his Eye of the Asura. The entire place descended into silence. Second. She was the second to be defeated. She was even a transcendent Douluo, the evil phoenix Douluo. The powerful vice leader of the Holy Ghost Church was defeated just like that. If Huo Yuao had wanted to kill her, he could have done so earlier. What Huo Yuao did wasn't complicated at all. However, only he was capable of doing it. Before he unleashed his spiritual shock, it was evident that the divine skill the three-eyed golden lion conferred onto Huo Yuao was used on Feng Ling. It was destiny's demise, spiritual reaving. All material and spiritual defenses could be overcome by this skill. While a class 9 spiritual defensive type soul tool was strong, it could only block Huo Yuao's all-out attack. When he unleashed that strike earlier, Huo Yuao had actually used his spiritual interference domain too. His spiritual interference domain had caused Feng Ling's lock-on and vision to be slightly off. This was why her devouring light of the evil phoenix didn't actually hit him, but a projection that Huo Yuao had imitated through his spiritual interference domain and imitation. After this, things were much easier. He used his instant teleportation and sent the real Eye of the Asura behind Feng Ling. Following this came his second strike of spiritual shock. If Huo Yuao had really wanted to, he could have really hurt Feng Ling by tapping into the strength of his spiritual reading earlier. After that, he could even kill her. However, he didn't do so. Instead, he sealed Feng Ling's senses and spiritual sea before capturing her. He slowly landed on the ground. There was a strange glow in his eyes. After 2 consecutive fights, it seemed like he had won very easily. In fact, only he himself knew that he had to react very quickly during these 2 fights. He had to rely on his strengths to win these 2 fights easily. From the start until the end, Huo Yuao didn't conserve his strength at all. This was because he knew that the more he didn't want to unleash his soul power, the more he would be drained. He still had more fights after this. The recovery speed of his twin soul cores and the amount of soul power he had was unimaginable. However, even so, he couldn't possibly last 10 rounds. rounds. This was why he didn't kill Feng Ling. Instead, he grabbed her and gave himself some time to recover. Also, as he landed on the ground, Hua Yua took lifted his visor. He grabbed Feng Ling with one hand and had no intention of relaxing at all. Douluo stood where he was and didn't move. Feng Ling was already in Hua Yua's hand. Even if an ultimate Douluo were here, he couldn't possibly save her from his hands. Once Hua Yua unleashed his dark golden terror claws, he could tear Feng Ling's neck apart in an instant. What do you want? Douluo asked coldly. They were clever people. He wouldn't demand that Hua Yua release Feng Ling. Since Hua Yua didn't kill her, it meant that there was room for negotiation. He had to have some kind of agenda. To Douluo, Feng Ling was very important. Not only was she his right-hand man, but she was also his wife. Evil soul masters weren't devoid of emotions. This was even though Douluo didn't control Feng Ling using emotions. I want to exchange her for your other holy lady. I'll leave it up to you to decide whether a holy lady or your vice sect leader is more important. Hua Yua revealed his demand simply. Yes, he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He couldn't find where the Holy Ghost Church's headquarters was. This was why he couldn't find Ma Xiaotao at all. Not long ago, Hua Yua attempted to use his spiritual detection to search for her before when they first entered Radiant City. However, he didn't find any trace of her. Since he couldn't find her, he could only turn to the Holy Ghost Church. After hearing Hua Yua's demand, Douluo focused his gaze. Keep daydreaming. When he had first captured the two holy ladies, he had used the Holy Ghost Church's methods to stimulate them and rapidly increase their cultivations. After that, the blue silver holy lady Tanya was captured by Hua Yua and the others. This left them with only the Fire Phoenix holy lady, Ma Xiaotao. Douluo had high hopes for Ma Xiaotao. She was close to becoming a transcendent Douluo. Furthermore, she had an ultimate martial soul. The evil energy of her ultimate martial soul became fuel for her ultimate fire under the stimulation of the Holy Ghost Church's special methods. Her abilities had grown significantly over the past few years. She was bound to become a pillar of the Holy Ghost Church in the future. In Douluo's plan, Ma Xiaotao could become an ultimate Douluo in a decade's time. Once she succeeded, she would completely lose her own awareness and become a puppet who was an ultimate Douluo. Then, even though both Yi Shishui and Long Xiaoyao would eventually pass away, the Holy Ghost Church would still remain strong. This was why Douluo immediately rejected Hua Yua's demand the moment he mentioned Ma Xiaotao. He had feelings for Feng Ling. However, his feelings weren't important compared to the future of the Holy Ghost Church. This was the Holy Ghost Church's motto. Profit was the most important. Are you saying that you don't want her life anymore? Hua Yua lifted Feng Ling high. A sharp, darker gold blade shot out from his index finger, shining brightly. The tip of it came extremely close to Feng Ling's throat. Stop! Douluo shouted furiously. He was conflicted. He couldn't bear to watch Feng Ling die. It was his first time regretting this mission. If he hadn't personally requested to fight this battle, Wu Yang wouldn't have died, and Feng Ling wouldn't have fallen into Hua Yua's hands. While the vampire ice bear was precious, he was still not worth it compared to two transcendent Douluo. Douluo subconsciously clenched his fists. Hua Yua said, Sect leader, you can take some time to consider. I'm not in a rush either. I have 10 rounds to fight. I can't wait to get some rest. He pointed out his weakness, and even did it with a grin on his face. He wasn't afraid that Douluo wouldn't by his words. Douluo's breathing became a little heavy. He was very aware that the generals of the Sun Moon Empire army were all looking at him from afar. He had already given a military order. If he failed, his reputation in the army would fall dramatically, even if he wasn't dealt with according to military laws. He was now caught in a bind. What should he do? All sorts of ideas rose in his mind. He really didn't know what to do right now. He couldn't bear to give Feng Ling up. However, he was even more unwilling to sacrifice the Fire Phoenix Holy Lady. Douluo's expression turned grim as he took in a deep breath. I can't pass the Fire Phoenix Holy Lady to you. She's already one of the pillars of the church. Even as the sect leader, I have no right to exchange her for little Feng. If you are willing, I can make her fight you next. You can use your own abilities to snatch her away. If you can do that, I'll have nothing to say. However, I can't directly pass her to you. It's a promise. Hua Yua answered without any hesitation. A cold light flashed across Douluo's face. He waved towards the back. A terrifying aura swept over immediately. The cries of a phoenix sounded following this. It was different from the cries of Feng Ling's phoenix. Feng Ling's phoenix cries were sharp and shrill, whereas this phoenix cry was filled with dominance. It was extremely domineering. It rocked heaven and earth. A mighty aura exploded into the air. Scorching air current surged. One person slowly walked out from the Sun Moon Empire crowd. She wasn't very quick, but every step she took left a fiery red footprint on the ground. Fiery red light shone from her without dissipating at all. She was wearing a red hat with a veil that covered her entire head. That mighty yet scorching aura exuded from her body. Hua Yua focused his gaze and stared at her. Is that you, Ella sister? It was unknown what that red hat was made of. It didn't appear to be damaged even as it was subjected to the scorching air currents. Douluo turned around and walked towards a bunch of soul engineers. He gritted his teeth before grabbing another class 9 spiritual defensive type soul tool. This time, it was a bracelet. He returned in front of that person in red. The person in red lifted her left hand. Her palms were milky white, but there were red air currents coming from them. Intense soul power undulations originated from her body, which couldn't be suppressed at all. Her scorching aura made her seem like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Douluo gave her the bracelet. After this, he turned to Hua Yua and said, She's here. You can let go of Feng Ling now. Hua Yua coldly replied, How do I know if she's the one? Ask her to lift her veil and reveal her true appearance. Douluo nodded and gestured at the lady. The lady lifted her veil. When she revealed her appearance, Hua Yua's pupils shrank. All these years, he had done his best to find Ma Xiaotao. However, he couldn't find her. Now that he saw her, his heart sank. Ma Xiaotao was still Ma Xiaotao. Her appearance had not changed at all. Time also didn't leave any marks on her beautiful face. However, her eyes had changed. Her eyes had turned completely red. Whether it was the black or white part of her eyes, everything had turned red. It was even a deep red. It was as if blood could seep out of her eyes at any time. When she lifted her head and looked at Hua Yua, there was only a strong killing intent and terrifying evil energy coming from her eyes. Sister Xiaotao. Hua Yua's heart was shuddering. Sister Xiaotao, I was the one who harmed you. For various reasons, I couldn't leave with you when we first met. After that, we were attacked by the Holy Ghost Church's 3rd and 4th elder, which caused Kua to sacrifice herself. After Kua sacrificed herself, Shrek Academy was struck by the beast wave. I had no choice but to return to Shrek. When I returned, I could no longer find any traces of you. When Hua Yua saw her years later, today, he could clearly sense that she had lost a part of her soul. She had become a killing machine controlled by the Holy Ghost Church. Hua Yua's killing intent grew instantly. Holy Ghost Church, Holy Ghost Church. An icy cold look flashed across his face. He stared at Douluo. A cold smile appeared on Douluo's face. He turned to Ma Xiaotao and said, Kill him. There were so many people around. Hua Yua couldn't renege on his words. Hua Yua shook his right hand before he flung Feng Ling towards Douluo. At the same time, Ma Xiaotao was already like a ball of intense flame as she charged towards him. The air immediately distorted due to the heat. Ma Xiaotao seemed to have gone crazy. She opened her arms wide and shot a phoenix-shaped, dark red flame towards Hua Yua. She immediately used her 4th soul skill, Phoenix Sky Whistle. Ma Xiaotao's phoenix flames were much stronger now compared to before. Her ultimate fire was mixed with some kind of terrifying energy that Hua Yua couldn't even recognize. The flame was aimed straight at him. Ma Xiaotao's 9 soul rings instantly rose at the same time. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.